Welcome, everyone to Clobberin Times issue number, whatever number we are. One, I don't know what number we are because I can't see it. No, yeah, that's right. We're.
It's at least five.
I don't know what number we are anymore because I can't find it. We're something. We're a number,
Hmm.
not a free man.
Hmm.
All right. Anyway, welcome everyone to Clobberin Times. Monday night, Mark C. Comics Talk. And a big, as always, big shout out to the great Stone Loki for that wonderful intro that I also use as an outro, especially the Monday night version. I mean, when he went back and he tweaked it for the Monday night version, and I appreciate him on that one. Welcome, everyone. And welcome. A big shout out to my extraordinary, fantastic first officer, the wonderful, the lovely Raquel Briggs. I love you, Raquel. We had another fantastic time on Saturday Night Star Trek this past Saturday night, and it was great fun, and you were all just fantastic. Everyone, thank you to everyone once again for everyone who showed up and participated. It was just a great time. Are you walking around?
No,
Oh, I was getting wind. I was hearing like wind noises.
that's probably from what I ate a while ago.
You are so funny. I remembered to laugh, but didn't. Welcome, everyone. And I guess you've all guessed that the great Minimus is here with me tonight.
I'm not that great.
Minimus Prime is here. Well, for tonight you are, because I need you.
Okay, I'm okay.
If I didn't need you, you'd be out. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
And yes, we got the Firefly reference. Thanks. Well, welcome, everyone. I see some guessing going on early by the great Phantom Outsider. And by the way, dude, look, I now know your secret identity. Just saying. But I'm not gonna outsider you. So, anyway, good to see you, Phantom Outsider. J-Man, the great J-Man is here. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you stopping in. D-Blood Martin, bro. Good to see you, buddy. Mike Beats. Nice to see you. Thank you for popping in. Let's see here. Who else is here already? The great Chris Persia is here. What's up, my friend, the master of all great wrenching? Elagabullus, welcome, buddy. Good to see you. Robert. Hail, Robert. Just Joe 47, the great jobber, is here. What's up? I guess it's just when you like breathe or something that does that. But
no, look. One of these names has always struck me as funny for some reason. Elagabos, well, it's backwards is Sulu Bagels. It's like George Takei loves bread. Sulu Bagels.
Wow. It really is. Okay. Yeah. Wow. The great Pat S. I like that. I might start calling you that, Elagabos, if you don't mind. No, I'm just kidding. And again, this is, of course, our second wave of the Clobberin Times Mark C. Comics Creator Hall of Fame that we're about to get going in a minute. First, show notes. Wednesday night, as always, I'll be here geeking out some open geek talk Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. And, of course, the Global Geek Gang. And we'll have something sort of like a topics type of thing, plan schedule thingy, 1 p.m. Central. We're all going to, it's a bring your recommendation to work day. We're all going to bring some kind of recommendation, whether it's a comic, a film, a TV show, a game, all something that we like a lot that not everyone may know much about. So we could, that's going to be the big roundtable discussion. Instead of just the normal stuff, which we'll still do a little of the show and tell and all that stuff. Big thanks to the great Mark D with a C for having me on his channel last night, talking about the Batmobile and watching him, looking at all the pics he had of all of his damn Batmobiles and that Lego Batmobile that he put together. That you have, it figures that he's an engineer because you have to be an engineer to put that thing together. Jesus Christ! So shout out to him for that. Let's see. I guess. Again, I know this is the kind of topic that not a lot of people really care much about anymore. No one cares about comics, and apparently not even comics history that much anymore, I guess. But I still love it, and we're going to do this every few months where we induct 10 more legends each time. There he is. Oh, thanks, Mark D. It's good to see you. 10 more legends every couple of months, and what I will do before we get started is run down our first 10 great entries into this wonderful Hall of Fame. The so as I pull it up, where are they? Oh, let me pull it up there. The Big 10. I had a picture. Oh, there they are. All right. We're going to run down the list of the pantheon of 10, the first 10 that we inducted last time, a couple months back now, I guess.
Close enough.
Yeah. All right, of course. Now, again, I want everyone to know that other than the king of comics, Jack Kirby, he is the king and always will deserve to be so. He sits top of the heap because, again, and I've been through this with all the voters. We vet. This is a very complicated voting process where everyone votes and we tally them up and all that stuff. The only voter being me, of course. So, because, well, Lord Thoth, what's up, bro? Avon lives and long live the Legion, buddy. Sulu Bagel. Now you like that. Just sounds wrong. And so Jack King Kirby, of course, sits atop the pantheon. But now, since we're only doing 10 at a time, never think that if someone's not on the list that they won't get in, and never think there's any kind of a pecking order except for Kirby being at the number one. It's just you only have so many spots at a time that we do it. It's like other types of Hall of Fames, if you will. So there are plenty that if one of your favorite creators is not on there yet, it could happen. And the first 10, of course, at the top of the pantheon is the great king of comics, Jack Kirby. Then there was we have the great Steve Ditko. Well, they're all great. So just stop saying the great. Just say Steve Ditko, Alex Raymond, Gil Kane, Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, Bill Finger, Will Eisner, Julius Schwartz, and Joe Kubert. That's the top 10. I mean, that's the first 10. I want to say it's the first 10. I mean, the top 10, the first 10. And had a lot of fun doing that a couple months back. And now we got 10 more. And if this, there are plenty of people, you just don't want to do it all at once. So 10 at a time. This list is not a list. This is actually not a list because Minimus doesn't like lists. And we wouldn't do anything he doesn't like.
I like Fran's list.
Close
the
enough.
Austrian composer.
But this is not a list. This tonight, and from now on, it's just 10 inductees. There's no particular order. I've just got them. Just going to read them up in the order I put them up there. Nobody's above anyone else on the list. Again, Kirby's the king because I'm biased like that. But they're all of these are wonderful creators of comics, and so we're going to get right into it. Just checking the chat every now and then. I saw some interesting guessing going on by the great Phantom Outsider and even D-Bud in there earlier because I put up that mystery picture, as you all know. What I do with that thing? Oh, well, it was the mystery picture. Where did I put that sucker? Oh, well. I don't know where it is now. Is that it? Yeah. Oh, no. Anyway. All right. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was kind of the mystery picture I put up there and the other one in the thumbnail led to lots of speculation, I'm sure. And that was kind of the fun of it because we're going to keep this a secret till we reveal every time we do it. So without further, whatever you want to call it, are you ready, folks, for our first inductee in the second wave of the Clobberin Times Mark C. Comics Creator Hall of Fame? Question mark. I guess they are because they didn't say anything because I couldn't hear them anyway, could I? Are you ready, Minimus?
I was always ready.
Okay. And again, it's not numbered. We're just going to, do them in order. All right. So our first of our 10 second wave inductees to this Hall of Fame.
The first?
I shouldn't say first. Well,
they're not numbered.
Yeah, they're not numbered, but I got to screw it.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I got to start with it in that sense. But nobody's above anyone else except Kirby because I'm biased. What can I tell you? That's, of course, the great Gardner Fox.
Is that Gardner Fox? How old is that picture?
That's a young Gardner Fox pic there. I just picked it out for the hell of it. I'm going to show a bunch of other pictures. That's a very...
He looked like a movie star.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, there we got some normal pictures. I thought it was funny to show that old one there. But I'll take the overlay now and we'll see the... Let's see here. Okay. Gardner Fox, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how you cover all of his contributions to comics. It would take too long. You could do 5 shows about it and not cover it all. Yeah, it had to be almost like him in a college or high school or whatever that picture was. But, where do you start? Golden Age Flash, Justice Society, Hawkman, Wesley Dodds, Sandman, and of course, the Justice League. Minimus, of course, is a big fan of the great Gardner Fox, and he knows a little bit about him, don't you?
There's he had a big writing career before and after. He wrote Kothar, Kirik stories. They were like series, like fantasy and science fiction. He wrote one called Escape Across the Cosmos, and I recommend that. If you get Escape Across the Cosmos, you open it up to page 1, and boom, action. It starts right there. He gets dumped off on this planet, and the preview on the back of the paperback gives you a whole lot more detail about how he got there. But in the book itself, it starts off with he looks up and he's the silver ship is flying up into the sky, and he's stuck there. And the character's name is Kael, Kael, and he's a cybernetic Superman. I wonder where he got that name from.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, Kothar. You have these books, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Adam Strange, the Atom. Go ahead, say again.
And some kind of racy, spicy type detective stories under the pen name of Rod Gray.
Oh yeah.
I never was able to find any of those. Apparently, our friend Larry Goodry hoarded them because I found one in Atlanta one time, and I called him and said, "Hey, I got this book." He goes, "I don't have it." And I said, "Well, I'll get it for you."
Yeah. We have a question. What was his first comic? Oh, I don't know if it was Flash Comics #1, but it had to be one of his first ones, at least for National, which later became DC. But I got to be honest with you, I can't exactly remember. There might be. It's a good question, but that would have to be probably one of his first. But he may have worked for did a couple of stuff before that even came out for National, like for Detective Comics and things like that.
So that back in those days, writers weren't getting credited. The only time you saw a writer who was credited was Bob Kane, and even then, it was like him going over to Bill Finger and going, "Hey, Batman drives a car." Bill Finger goes, "Gotcha." Comes back with a 30-page story,
which Bob Kane magically wrote, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve Mitchell, what's up, bud? Oh. he says, hey, all, I'm sorry, I can't say that I've got some important. Is that Claude? In that case, let me pull up a chair. He does. He loves him some Minimus.
I know. Yeah. Well, we've known each other for 1 billion years. Actually, I've known him for 1 billion years. He's only about in his 30s.
Phantom Outsider says, he said done over like 4,000 comics. That many, huh? Jesus Christ. But Gardner Fox, folks. I mean,
he's the big mamu. He's like he was as prolific as somebody like more prolific than somebody like Roy Thomas or Marv Wolfman, who you pretty much, if you didn't want them to write, you had to pay them to go away because they would write anything and everything. Go ahead, say it. He created Barbara Gordon.
That's right,
and Barbara Gordon. I think they say it co-created with Carmine Infantino.
Probably,
and basically,
and William Dozier. Yeah. Beautiful Purple Valkyrie. So great to see you here, my dear. Hello. Always a pleasure. Yep, and again, Adam Strange. I think Ray Palmer, and of course, I mentioned it, but you can't. You got to show it. you know, he obviously, as I showed you a little bit, he created the Justice Society, but
Yeah.
he did one better. He created the Justice League.
Yep.
I mean, created the Team Superhero comic, basically. Obviously created Jay Garrick. It's just so much. I mean, he is just a great. Dr. Hercule, good to see you, my friend.
And kind of by extension, inspired the creation of the Fantastic Four because
Yeah, that's true.
Martin Goodman was playing golf with somebody and came home and said, "Hey, they've got this Justice League. Let's come up with a superhero team of our own." And I always thought that was going to be the Avengers, but supposedly Marvel's first super team was Fantastic Four.
Yes, the famous Martin Goodman, Jack Leibowitz golf game, as they say, where we were playing golf, and he was telling, "Hey, the kids really love our new Justice League comic." Turns out, kids like to see superheroes teaming up.
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk that?
Well, you know, Marvel had this problem with trying to explain where all their heroes were at this time and what they were doing at that time. Like Captain America was over here during this Avengers story. DC, they didn't give a crap. DC said this takes place before the current story in Superman or whatever. That's what they would say, like on the bottom of the page with a little asterisk next to it, to explain if you needed it to be explained why Superman was in there, but in this very same month, Superman was dying of kryptonite poisoning while he's having an adventure with like Hawkman and the Flash and Batman and Wonder Woman. It's because it took place before the one where he's dying of kryptonite poisoning. There you go. Move along. See you next month.
Yep. I mean, he gave us so much, and again, that output was just incredible. Gardner Fox created Batman utility belt. Take that, Bob Kane. I like it, Phantom Outsider. You're the man. You're on point, man. Absolutely. So some of you called it. I think that's one for you, Phantom Outsider. I can't tell you. I can neither confirm nor deny any of the other ones you guessed right, my friend.
I'll go with it.
But well done, sir. My Captain Cockney Spock. Welcome, my friend. It is good to see you. Okay, everyone. Go again. It would just. That's why we burn through these relatively quickly, because all of these great legends, they're all one or two shows minimum that to do them justice. So we're just inducting them tonight and talking a little bit about them. I mean,
2 hours. 2 hours would be a good start for Gardner Fox.
Yes, 2 hours would be a very minimal start for the great Gardner Fox. So he is the beginning He is our first inductee for tonight's second wave of the Mark C. Comics Creator Hall of Fame. So who's ready for the next one? Our next inductee is, of course, the great Joe Simon. Co-creator of Captain America, along with, of course, our king of the Pantheon, Jack Kirby, a writer and artist in his own right, of course.
Yep.
And, well, talk a little bit about Joe Simon.
The thing about Joe Simon was he knew talent when he saw it. He had like this whole batch of people that would come in and draw, and he would come up with the ideas. Basically, he even said he doesn't know who came up with the idea of Captain America first. He said it was him and Jack. And Jack Kirby was faster than him. And while he draws, look, that's a Kirby Captain America on the cover there. But if you open it up on the inside, that one that was just shown in the background, that's Simon and Kirby. He drew Captain America. He drew in that 40s, that late 30s, 40s style. But he was more the businessman of the team, and kind of think if he was a better businessman, they might have gotten a better deal from Timely or Marvel or whoever they became, because Simon was kind of he was the actual businessman that everybody gives credit to Stan Lee for being. Yes.
They created a lot of things together before they kind of parted ways a little bit when when Kirby went to work, with Goodman and Lee at Atlas, and of course, some of the notable co-creations between them. Of course, you mentioned obviously Captain America's the obvious one. There's also Fighting American, The Fly, Blue Bolt, Stuntman, their version, their reversion of the Sandman that was created by Gardner Fox actually is the Wesley Dodds one. Challengers of the Unknown, which they heavily influenced, Kirby for the Fantastic Four.
Heavily, mightily, I would say. It was basically the same book. But, Stan Lee got to say he created Fantastic Four, and nobody questioned him because back then, nobody was doing collections of these comics. Nobody was doing hardbacks and trade paperbacks of this stuff. But you can't help but look at stuff like Challengers of the Unknown, and then look at the very first issue of Fantastic Four and go, wow, these things have nothing to do with each other. Yeah, they were basically the same book.
They were, and of course, remember back how excited we were when we got that Fighting American hardcover that they finally did way back. What was it, like in the 90s or something?
Yeah,
that was also
I got it when they first came out. I'm old enough that I used to get comics at the barber shop. And I would always I would go in, my father would take us in, all three boys go in to get our little flat tops with the little wax in our hair. And that may explain what happened to my brain. But I'm sitting there reading comics while there's like grown-up men getting their hair cut, and then my brother, and then me and my younger brother. So I'm reading the comics. And I would go up to this guy and say, hey, can I keep this? And he would say, no, we got to keep these here. It's for the other people. I said, all right. And I came in one day, and the cover, like the top quarter of the cover was torn off. And that's what they used to do to return it to the distributor to get their credit back. So he wasn't really selling them. He had them in there. And if he returned that top strip that says Challenge of the Unknown there, turn it back in to the guy, he would get his whatever 10 or 12 cent credit for it.
Yep. I love Challengers of the Unknown, but again, remember when Byrne did his What If the Fantastic Four had not gotten superpowers, and it looked just like remember the Amalgam comic, Challengers of the Fantastic?
Yep.
Yeah, so the great Joe Simon, everyone. Next, Eric K, the great Eric K. Okay, good to see you, sir. Get it? Good to see you. And let's see here. What?
He did a lot of stuff for Harvey Comics too, the superhero line that Harvey did.
He did. There was also they co-created The Fly. I mean, they did a lot of stuff. Joe Simon was around a long time, and so
he died right like months after Captain America: The First Avenger premiered, and they gave him a private showing of it, and he said
that's
he loved
right.
it.
That's right. They did.
Too bad Kirby didn't live long enough to see it, but Simon saw it.
Yeah, it is. It's a shame, but I'm glad he at least got to see that. Great. So at least one of them got to see that movie made. Brightest Day, what's up, my friend? Good to see you there. T-shirted historian, welcome, sir. It is great to see you all. Thank you all for being here tonight. Okay, so we're down two. We have two inductees: the great Gardner Fox, and now, of course, the great Joe Simon. And now for our next one, because everyone's ready for the next one. What me worry? Al almost got his name wrong. Harvey Kurtzman.
Yeah.
So I think someone came close to guessing that earlier. So much EC. All the pretty much defined in a sense the humor magazine of the humor comics magazine, really, with Mad, and there was a couple of other ones. You mentioned something earlier, but I forgot what it was now that he did.
Little Annie Fanny for Playboy.
Yep. Oh yeah, Playboy, all that stuff. Harvey Kurtzman was. Wow. Who among us that's old enough anyway didn't read Mad magazine?
Well, I will say this. I will use a number in here. This is the first one on our list that I've actually met. met him at Dallas Fantasy Fair one year.
What wasn't it 86? I was there. I met him too. But
No. Well, it wasn't that year that I met him and actually got to talk to him. It was me and two other people that were there. I think you were reveling in being married or something that you didn't come. It was me and Dave and Carla went to that one.
In 86.
He might have been, but it's like Kirby. I couldn't muster up the gumption to go talk to Kirby. Same thing with Harvey Kurtzman. And then one day I'm there at Dallas Fantasy Fair and I'm talking to Gil Kane, and there's a coffee table type setup there, and right across from Gil Kane is Harvey Kurtzman. And I had just shown Gil Kane my airbrush book, and Harvey Kurtzman says, "Let's see that." I was like, "No, Harvey Kurtzman, you can't see my stuff. Who are you? Who do you think you are? You're Harvey Kurtzman or something?" And yeah, he looked at it. Now, he didn't praise anything, but he also didn't say, "Boy, this looks like shit." He just looked at it and he smiled a couple of times and then handed it back to me. The end.
But you got something signed, didn't you?
What, by Kurtzman?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I was too stupid to know to get anything signed back then. I rarely back then got anything signed. I got Gil Kane to sign something, but that was only because I paid him $20 to draw Green Lantern, like the year or 2 years before that.
Darth Astor, what's up, buddy? Well, that's actually, since he was a master of humor comics, then that's a funny story about it. Like, you met him and you didn't even get anything signed. It's like you are his Alfred E. Newman.
Well, I got to spend a few minutes with him, and the only bad side of that was like Gary Groth was there too. So
good old Gary Groth. He probably won't make the Hall of Fame. Just speculating.
He'll make it when Rob Liefeld makes it. They'll be inducted together. It was a toss-up, so we decided to throw them both in. Of course, if you're waiting for Rob Liefeld to make this list, I hope you're very, very young right now.
Oh yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that he may not make it.
Yeah,
Rob, I just call me crazy. Martin, my mother loved Mad Magazine. Her baby brother bought all the EC comics and still had a Mad #1. Oh yeah, well there you go. Well yeah, I bought it for you. It walked hand in hand with movies, because who didn't want to, with all the new movies that came out. I mean, there were a lot of great things about Mad Magazine, but I think the thing I always look forward to was to see them, like not too long after the big movie come out, the Mad parody of it.
Yeah. Well, that was, I think that was actually later. The original Mad didn't do.
Oh, that was later.
But
it was later, but he created it.
But even later, I loved it when Mad reprinted the original Mad magazines inside of them. They were kind of glued to the inside, and sometimes I would just pull them out. And I've got some reprints of it. But man, they had Harvey Kurtzman, they had Wally Wood, and Wally Wood, of course, was pushing the envelope even back then. He didn't do too many like gigantic boobs or anything like that, but he came pretty close, because it wasn't Tales Calculated to Drive You Mad. It wasn't an adult humor magazine per se. It was a humor magazine, and if you had to do something that was borderline adult, that was okay.
Yeah. J-Man, I think thinking more. He's thinking Rob Liefeld makes it before Tiny PP Coates.
Yeah. That's they're neck and neck right now.
D-Bud Martin, Jack Davis, of course, Mort Drucker, but I mean, Kurtzman started it all. So, well, that stuff, and of course, like you pointed out, I'd forgotten he actually did the Flash Gordon strip.
Yep.
Yeah. So everyone, our latest inductee in the second wave of the Hall of Fame is the great Harvey Kurtzman. Are we ready for our next inductee, ladies and gerbils?
Probably not, but let's do it anyway.
All right. Our next inductee into the Clobberin Times, Mark C, comics creators, all of fame, is the great John Romita.
John
I don't even
Romita.
have I don't even have to say senior. He's no offense to junior, but he's John Romita.
Yeah.
And he is just a legend. And he's a reality.
He is the original. He's
And
he's a standard by which a lot of them are judged. He's one of those artists who drew pretty much everybody.
he did. His claim to fame may initially be his Spider-Man work, but it became so much more than that. D. Oberg. How about Kelly Sue DeConnick? Well, I'll tell you what, I will take it up with the voters. We will see what he has. They have to say. I'm sorry.
We'll ask the Council of Krypton what they think about Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Yes, we'll give it a shot, and then we'll look into it there, Doug. Good to see you, brother. Romita, obviously, some would say a seminal work is work on Spider-Man, and I love the Ditko stuff, but I know it's sacrilege, but I love the Romita run just as much. They are very different. There's no question about it. But yeah, it's just terrific. But even more than that, he had a couple of other runs on series, but I think his longest stint on anything was obviously Spider-Man. But then he became the face of next to Kirby, sort of like the face of Marvel Art in terms of all of their ads and covers. It's just, he's just amazing.
But he did. I think he said he did Captain America for a brief time, but
and Daredevil.
It was just not something that he could that he thought that he could do well.
Yeah, really, and he did a couple. He did a couple issues of FF. He did. He had a stint on Daredevil, which was great.
Yep.
But when you think of it, as far as in terms of interior work, did he have any kind of run anywhere as long as Spidey? I don't think so.
No.
But look at all the. All the output, all the art of.
He did a lot of romance magazines. He did back in the day, as you children say. He did westerns, and he drew in a style that everybody drew in back then. Carmine Infantino drew, and Frank Robbins drew, and John Romita drew. They all drew the same way back in the 50s. And it was sort of reminiscent of, who was the guy who did Terry and the Pirates? Was
Milton
Caniff. But Milton Caniff, actually, he evolved after a while, too. But if you go look back at stuff like that.
Yeah, Frank Robbins.
What was that? There was a comic strip called Beyond Mars.
Uh-huh.
And you look at that, and you look at some of the 50s and early 60s westerns and things like that, and you would think the same person drew them all, but no, it was just the style that everybody drew in.
Yeah. Yep. Didn't he kind of become, in a sense, the house style?
He did. Then there was a thing that when people would come to work at Marvel, Shooter would hand people like a Kirby or a Romita book and say, draw like this.
Yep. Yep.
And then they found a guy who drew like that because his daddy drew like that. And it was Junior. So
well, he did a lot of earlier work as well, but before that, he worked on Captain America early on, after Simon and Kirby went into the army and stuff. But
yeah, uncredited.
Yes, uncredited.
Not credited until later when they collected them into hardback and paperback.
Yeah, but he's said in interviews when he first started working with Stan and they would tell him flat out, draw like Kirby.
Yeah.
But again, Kirby's the standard. So, Ramita's first year and a half.
There's that iconic panel. Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot.
Yep, that's it.
Can you imagine? Nobody else could have drawn that.
No,
they could have, but it wouldn't be as memorable as that thing we're looking at right now.
No, absolutely not. And
that was the first time. Was that the first time we saw Mary Jane's face? Or
I think it was the first time we saw the face. Phantom Outsider said, "What's up, Eric K? Yo, bro. In case I didn't shout you out earlier, what's up? Good to see you, brother." There was a Stanley story of Stan not liking how JR said a scene. It was a Daredevil answers a call and changes DD, goes out the window. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, Stan says, Jack, show the kid. But he wasn't really, he was younger than Jack, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
He's still with us. He's still with us. By the way, he's the first so far in our Hall of Fame that is fortunately still with us.
Yeah.
So,
and
anyway,
his specialty was what they called that toothpaste smile.
Yeah. Yeah. The great
find a picture of Peter Parker smiling, and that's
Peter Parker didn't smile much, but yeah.
He did when Gwen Stacy was around, and then she died, and he stopped smiling for a long time. Oh, spoiler alert.
How about this? How about this for weird? A sketch of Batman by John Romita, who didn't work for DC.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's a rare shot right there, Phil.
He was working on something that Bob Kane paid somebody to do, and did it better.
Yep. Janet from another planet. Lovely to see you, my dear. Thank you for being here. Okay, well that would be our. We're up to 4 now. So recapping for those who just arrived, we're inducting our second wave into the Clobberin Times Mark C Comics Creator Hall of Fame. Number 1 was, the first one was Gardner Fox, then Joe Simon, then Harvey Kurtzman. And we just got done talking about John Romita Sr. And so our next inductee, folks, is the great Curt Swan, my favorite Superman artist. Say again?
I said absolutely. I loved Curt Swan. I grew up reading Superman and World's Finest and Legion of Superheroes that he drew. He was kind of like DC's Jack Kirby, except he didn't really create anything. He just drew everything. Yep.
Wow. He did. It's not like similar in a sense to Romita. Romita's known for all kinds of other art, but they always associate him with Spider-Man. Swan did some other things. He's a lot like their Romita in the sense that he almost never went to Marvel. He never went to Marvel. It just as Romita never went to DC, and they're both associated with the 2 biggest characters from each company.
One of the things that pissed me off about DC was their treatment of him after John Byrne took over Superman. They kind of just sort of pushed him away and said, go away. And then found out that John Byrne couldn't really handle everything. So they put Swan on the Action Comics Weekly Superman series.
Yep. Remember when he came back, later with Al Williamson inking him, right?
I've got 2 pages of Curt Swan inked by Al Williamson. Nice. Yeah.
I hate to show all our Schumer crap there, but that is pretty good.
It's Curt Swan.
Yeah, that's all that matters. And again, he had various inkers. My favorite Swan inker, there's no surprises, is Murphy Anderson, who will make it in one day, of course. But I'm not, not knocking Tex Blaisdell and all those other ones, but
Bob Oxner.
Bob Oxner, George Klein. George Klein was pretty good, though.
Yeah, I didn't really care for Bob Oxner.
No. Yeah, but He's my Superman artist, folks, and I love. And there are a lot of top-notch Superman artists, but Kurt Swan, and I never got to meet him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the early Legion artists. What can you say?
Well, when the job of inker opened up for Kurt Swan, Al Williamson heard about it, and he said he had always wanted to ink Kurt Swan, and he stayed on that book with him for years. It wasn't just like a one-off. It was like, hey, this famous artist, Al Williamson, relatively famous. Most of the world didn't know him. He was a contemporary of Frazetta and Roy Krinkle and people like that, but he wanted to ink because he thought he could do service to Kurt Swan's pencils, and he did.
And it was weird because you didn't really. Who else did Al Williamson ever ink? I don't know of anybody.
He was one of the people that they called them the Flegel Gang. It was him and Roy Krinkle and Frazetta and some other people like that who got together and they overlapped with each other's work. So he would ink somebody's penciling from back then, but as far as consistency, it was Kurt Swan.
Yeah, and I've always kind of thought that too. Steve mentioned that there's some Wayne Boring influence in his. He almost, other than Al Plastino, kind of took on after Boring, or not too long after.
I would say that Wayne Boring looked more like a science fiction type artist, and Kurt Swan came along and kind of softened out the edges. While I did like both of them, there was a time for each one of them.
Yeah. But
you'll like them both. I mean,
Oh yeah. I love Wayne Boring. But no, absolutely. Oh, let's see what. Oh, they're putting names in there. Well, yeah, the great Mark. This is all named after the great Mark C. So there you go, folks. So yes, and again, Swan. One last thing about Swan was he. Other than Legion, I mean, I know he did some other stuff, but it's kind of like with Romita. He did all kind of other things, but it just automatically defaulted to Spider-Man. I mean,
World's Finest.
And this with Superman. He did World's Finest, sure.
Yeah.
Again,
but
Superman.
His Batman kind of made me uncomfortable because he was drawing kind of like a real world Batman. And I think they probably had to tell him, don't do eyes, on Batman's cowl.
Yeah. It's kind of, was never big on the way he drew Batman. Swan was not. It's funny. He was so perfect for Superman, yet not really your who you'd want to draw Batman so much. The other heroes fine, but yeah, I mean better than Kurt Schaffenberger. Though. Nothing against Kurt Schaffenberger. Everyone was saying his Batman was kind of Schaffenberger was a lot like Swan, but not, in my opinion, not as good. And I like Kurt Schaffenberger. Everyone, I'm just saying
he was better on Superboy.
Yep, the New Adventures. I have that's one of the original art pages I do have. I have a page I bought from Julius Schwartz of Superboy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is the great Kurt Swan, everyone. As said earlier in the chat, the Superman artist in beyond compare. Our next inductee in the Mark C. Clobberin Times Mark C. I should say, Comics Creator Hall of Fame is the great Bill Everett.
Yep.
He was amazing. What a great artist and creator. Creator of course, Submariner. Daredevil, or co-creator with Stan. The second Daredevil, the Matt Murdock one, of course. Because he was the second, right? Look at that. I mean,
he had what's called a fluid style, and it was so fitting that he was the guy on the Submariner. And he also, I think he created Marvel's Zombie. Remember the Simon Garth Zombie that they later made into a black and white magazine? He was in some of the horror magazines first.
Yeah. I mean, it created. I didn't even bother write down how much. There was so much stuff he's created and done. I mean, but he, like the past two entrants, is kind of so heavily identified with Subby.
Yeah. He actually he sat in for I don't know what it was, but Vince Coletta couldn't do a few issues of Thor.
Oh, you inked
And
Kirby.
man, he inked Kirby on Thor. They should have never gone back to Coletta after seeing that, because he was awesome. They were meant for each other.
Guy, he was one of my favorite inkers on Kirby, and it was just even though it was just those few.
Yeah,
he was fantastic on Kirby. The Nerdporeal life form, welcome. Good to see you. Still like that name. But you don't hear people say much about that he co-created Daredevil, one of my all-time favorite characters. And that should be pointed out. Let's see. Got to find some Daredevil. Yeah, there you go. We got to find some Daredevil pictures.
That first issue, like that
the first
page,
issue,
right there.
The cover was by Kirby. Remember they?
Yeah.
But there you go. In that yellow and red costume, which I love still. I mean, I like the red one better. Jennifer Cisco, beautiful lady. Good to see you. Thank you so much for popping in. Got some ladies here tonight. Man, you guys, straighten up. Straighten up, you bums. But it's funny how they didn't let. I don't understand why they. I forget the story exactly. Remember, he did this splash. That's Everett. But the cover, they always used to do this. They wanted Kirby to draw every cover.
Yeah, because Kirby was proven, and he could do a dynamic cover, and it would catch you. It's like the Amazing Fantasy number 15. The one that Ditko did, just it didn't hit what Stan Lee wanted it to hit. But once you get inside, that was Ditko. That was his character after that.
And I hate to agree with Stan on that, but I gotta say that the Kirby's version of Amazing Fantasy 15 is a better cover than Ditko's version. Not that I'm not glad that Ditko didn't do the interior, but there's something about that cover of 15.
Yeah.
So the great Bill Everett. I mean, listen, I know Steve is a big fan of Bill Everett, so he has to say. Steve Mitchell says, at a time when most other artists drew every character alike except for clothing, cigars, eye patch, etc., Bill Everett drew every character distinctly. That is absolutely true. Good point.
Yeah. Go back and look at that first issue of Submariner, when basically Submariner finds out that his mother is an evil bitch. And she hooked up with it's the same origin as Aquaman. She hooked up with a land lubber, and then later she says, we're going to go kill the surface dwellers. And he goes, what? My dad's a surface dweller. Come on, Mom. But,
yes.
Yeah, his women were willowy, and his men, while they weren't always bulky, were muscular.
Yeah. Yep.
And the fat guys that he drew were like fat guys, like me. It's
just look at that. Look at that. This is one of his earliest pieces of look how beautiful. I mean, it's just, good God, he was such a brilliant artist.
And look at his signature.
Yes, yeah.
Love that freaking signature down the bottom right of that picture.
Yeah, the signature. And of course, he went back to the book for a while there. In the late 60s, early 70s. He actually went back and drew some just fantastic issues of Submariner. The interiors, again, look at an older splash pages of one of his later ones. They're just terrific. Yeah, so one of the greats, folks, the great Bill Everett. Doug, Clobberin Times does not like to see the bottom of it. I don't? Okay. I could buy into that. Yes, sir. That is wild, weird stuff. Is Doc here tonight?
Oh, but
Well,
Tommy is, and he just doesn't care.
well, our next inductee, folks, all hail the great Bill Everett, is we've got 4 more to go. Our next inductee in our wave 2 of 10 is the great Wally Wood, or Wallace Wood as he preferred.
Yeah.
What?
Well, actually,
A master.
people that knew him well called him Woody. So
Oh,
Steve
okay.
Scott says he knew him. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know why he wouldn't,
What?
because he was buddies with
No,
them.
Wally Wood died in 1981.
Well,
I was a
maybe
kid.
he was talking out of his ass, but I do know. Well, he knew Russ Heath, so maybe Russ Heath told him some stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair enough. But, I mean, because my God, original. Of course, just in terms of mainstream stuff, Wally Wood um, took over on Daredevil. Did some of the greatest, finest work on that. After Everett left it, his Thunder Agents just never gets enough acclaim. And by the way, someone who was doing some guessing early on, I believe that was you, D-Bud. Yes, that was Dynamo from Thunder Agents that I had that picture in there from. Yeah, and I love Thunder Agents. Let's see here. Wally, and again, our great buddy Mark C., whom we named this show after, when we did our top 25 all-time favorite comic book artists, some of these artists were on there, and this was one of them. He loved Wallace Wood, and he believed in calling him Wallace. So he did. He also worked for Mad, right? And a lot of other things. He liked to draw the ladies, didn't he?
He did toward the end there where he couldn't get work anymore. He started working in these really, really cheaper than cheap porno magazines. That was pretty sad. And eventually, due to his kidney problems, he couldn't take it anymore, and he committed suicide at age 55, I believe. So
I think it was something like that. Yeah, he was one of two.
I think about 55 being young now because I'm 63, and I cannot imagine somebody just letting Wally Wood go. And I think he had a girlfriend at the time who was probably like just yanking money out of him. But how do you just let Wally Wood go like that?
I don't know.
He deserved more respect, and fortunately, posthumously, he's getting it. He just, they needed to respect him more while he was alive.
Yeah. Well,
he drew one of the first comic book stories that ever made me feel something. For a character on a page, there was that a story in Thunder Agents where No Man, he was an old man who transferred his essence, his mind, into the body of an android, and he had several. He's something like a dozen androids, and something was going through and destroying all of his bodies, and he shifted over to wherever they were to try to jump into one of them, and just before they killed his last body, he jumped out, and he came back, and you could tell by the way Wood drew, he's like, he was distraught, and he says something like, every last one of my bodies, he killed every last one of them.
Absolutely, yep. Yeah, and of course, what
the story behind Tower Comics and Wally Wood running it was that it was a mob front, and they just kind of ditched it one day. They didn't want to have anything more to do with it. I don't think it was making them any money, or it was like a publishing venture that just didn't do anything for them. So they left, and Wally Wood took over. Wally Wood started. You could notice that he wasn't drawing as much anymore. He started writing everything. He wrote all the stories. And remember, they even made the character Weed, the Thunder Agent. He had a special. But Wally Wood, he did more. He did a lot more in that one company than people know. And it's one of those things that goes unnoticed because it's not Marvel or DC. I think the last thing I saw him do at DC was probably that Hercules book that ended up with Simonson doing it after a while.
Didn't he ink Stalker? Or you aren't ink Ditko on Stalker?
Stalker, yep. That was another. It's kind of like a half-assed job, but you still look at it and go, well, that's Wally Wood.
Wally Wood. Well, he also he co.
Are we there? Huh. Well, I'm still here for some reason. Maybe lightning struck your house again. Are you there?
Sorry about that, everyone.
You dropped out. I was scared.
I had a bit of an accident with my stupid computer there. Sorry. Wally Wood, of course, co-created Power Girl, as I was showing the picture earlier. But I love Thunder. I love Thunder Agents. And yes, Pat asked if I saw I don't have the whole chat that I once did, but he did in fact invent the boob window.
Yep. And then they did away with it for a while because they were embarrassed by it, and they brought it back. I don't know if it was by popular demand, but they knew people wanted to see that. And man, you've had an effect when you see like 4 Power Girls at Dragon Con, and they're all dressed correctly. They all have that special opening in their costume.
They did. By the way, hail to the great 32 flavors of Nick Weiser. What's up, Nicky? What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Yeah, you're on over there tonight. I will definitely come watch that when I get a chance, sir. Later.
He did. Was it All-Star Squadron? Did
All-Star Comics.
All-Star Comics for well. He did the thing that they called the Super Squad. Remember the sons and daughters or whatever of the. They brought back Star Spangled Kid, and there was a 10-part story where all the heroes just went insane, including Superman, the Golden Age Superman, and they were just trying to kill whoever got in their way.
Yep. And we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about Power Girl.
Power Girl.
Because, I mean, she's one of his most famous co-creations with that idiot Jerry Conway. And Rick Estrada also, because I think, but he helped co-create her. And, well, dang it, everyone, we just love her. Who doesn't love Power Girl?
They screwed up her continuity, too.
Well, yeah, but that's, Wally Wood didn't have anything to do with that part of it.
Yeah, I know that was DC editors.
Yeah, she has that in common with every other character that's ever existed at this point.
Yeah.
Screwed up every character. So, everyone, the great Wallace Wood. Absolutely.
Legend Wally Wood. Wallace Wood. Woody.
He is a legend, and he is the truth, the light and the way.
Yeah.
Our next inductee, excuse me, let's see here. Our next inductee is the great, I've thrown this list there, great. Just get used to that word. The great Bern Hogarth.
Yep.
We met him for sure. That looks like the con we met him at, too.
Yeah, that probably is.
That might be Dallas Fantasy Fair 96.
That was where the big debate on stage was about ownership of Jack Kirby's art. And Will Eisner's contribution was, Jack, I think they should give you your art back. But Bern Hogarth did a fucking fire and brimstone speech about how, and this is the first time I ever heard the word, he said they denuded him of his art. And he said it again so everybody would know. It's like, they denuded him. It's like Marvel took his art away. It's like, you don't do that to an artist. He's a creator. And it's like, Bern Hogarth, that was what he held up above everything else. And he stuck up for Jack Kirby, and Kirby was just sort of sitting there like, thanks.
Yep. Jack is very modest.
Very passionate about it.
He's talking about a panel that we attended about at the time, and this is too long of a story to go into, but at the time, this was 86, Dallas Fantasy Fair, there was ongoing art controversy with Marvel Comics holding Jack Kirby's art hostage, pretty much, his original art hostage, and that was a big, it would take way too long to go into that, but that was, at that panel was, of course, the great Vern Hogarth, Kirby and himself, of course, Will Eisner, Frank Miller, who else was there? I forget, there was somebody else. Gil Kane was there. Yeah, and at that con anyway. I don't know if he was on that panel. I can't remember, but yes.
Well, yeah, Joe Kubert was at the con. I don't think he was at that panel.
Yeah, but Kubert was at the con. That's right.
Yeah.
Who was in our last in the first wave? So, Vern Hogarth, of course, was a comic strip artist at first.
Yeah.
And I believe. Did he do Tarzan before Hal Foster or was after? I always forget.
It was after.
After.
It was after.
His Tarzan. Oh my God. Well, he's known, of course, for his Tarzan in terms of comic strips, which is just some of the most phenomenal, beautiful work.
He also did a lot of art instruction books.
Well, yeah, I was going to get to that.
Okay.
No, go ahead. You knew I would get to that. Yeah.
The biggest one was Dynamic Anatomy. And the only problem I had with Dynamic Anatomy was, if you want to draw like Vern Hogarth, read Dynamic Anatomy, because he went ape shit in his style, and his style was reminiscent of Michelangelo, of Leonardo da Vinci. In fact, if you look at some of the sketches in Dynamic Anatomy and Dynamic Figure Drawing, it looks like he learned from da Vinci. He also did dynamic shading, and he even did one about drapery. He did so many books like that, and pretty sure they're going to be hard as hell to find now, but I got all of them.
That's right.
There it is over on the left. What is that? Dynamic Anatomy, the most famous one. Yeah, that's the one I got. Yeah. But did he know everything about art or what?
Wasn't Neil Adams' instrumental in getting Siegel and Schuster credit and some money? And so I'm adding the some money part to Phantom Outsider. Yes, he was. Did he also go to bat for Kirby? Not in the same way, no. But he was not against him or anything. So this is kind of what it's funny. I guess Vern Hogarth is probably more known for these books than his Tarzan strip.
Yeah,
wouldn't you say?
But by some people.
By some people, yeah.
The people, like, if you're in an art class and your instructor doesn't say look for these books, tell your instructor to take a fucking hike, because these are the books. There's either 4: Dynamic Anatomy, Dynamic Figure Drawing, Dynamic Shadow or down Light and Shading or something like that, and one about drapery for some reason. But yeah, he did it all. I've got that book. Yeah.
His Tarzan, though, my God. Steve Mitchell says, my old studio director took a class under Vern Hogarth. Great. Yeah, he was extraordinary.
Vern Hogarth, is that on him?
Yes, apparently.
I wish I could have spent more time talking to him, because it's like he was kind of the most famous guy in the room. And you couldn't really get next to him because he was busy talking to Will Eisner and Jack Kirby. I guess he forgot that was a convention with fans who wanted to talk to him. And, they autograph stuff. But like I said a while ago, that like an idiot, I forgot to bring anything to get autographed.
Yeah, well, he was amazing. Saying that was we were busy at that con, I guess. But we got Kirby, so
yeah,
that was the important thing.
That was the first one with Kirby.
Yep, that was. I mean, look at this. This is just his Tarzan. And again, I got to be honest with you. I don't know what other strip work he did. I mean, that stands out to me. It's just the Tarzan stuff in particular. He was just that, and plus he went on to influence so many other artists in so many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to. In every look, I'm a comic book guy mostly, but every wave, I'm going to go at least one great comic strip artist.
There was another artist that kind of drew along the same lines. Steve may know him. He used to be a professor at LSU named Kenneth Smith.
Yeah.
Kenneth Smith was also at that convention, and that kind of freaked me out because I saw him at a convention in Baton Rouge when I was like 16, and I got to talk to him.
Phantasmagoria.
Yep.
So that, of course, everyone, is the great Ben Hogarth. JT Kirk, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Our next inductee is, well, we've already had one actual living person. Let's have another actual living person because a lot of these gents are old. But I'm going to, kind of mix it up a little bit here. The great, and you could ask him, he'll tell you he's great, Neil Adams.
Yeah. He agreed with me when I told him he was great. He not really. I yelled as he walked by in the convention. I said, Neil Adams, ladies and gentlemen, the handsomest man in comics. And he just smiled and kept walking. Like, get away from this, dumbass.
He was fantastic. Well, yeah. Did I say was? Well, you know what I mean.
Well, he's still around. He's like 75 or something right now, but he's awesome to talk to as long as you don't mind that, the little ego trip that he's going to throw at you. Because all the stuff that he drew, it was his idea. The Superman versus Muhammad Ali, it was all him. Superman versus Spider-Man, that was his idea. All those big books like that, and I fortunately got to bring my copy of Superman versus Muhammad Ali to him, and I told him I didn't just buy this here at the convention or somewhere else. I bought it when it first came out, and he said, I thought he was giving me one of those big plastic sleeves to put it in. He goes, here, why don't we put it in this? It'll protect it. And he blew on his little autograph thing, and then he put it in there, and then he goes, $4. Which is fine, it's Neil Adams. I bought a piece of plastic from Neil Adams for $4, and he didn't charge me what he's charging people now, which is, last I heard, was $50 for a single autograph.
Yep. Well.
He's one of those people that you don't question it.
Yeah, you don't.
And that Batman that you have up there, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4th.
I'll get it in a second.
From the left on the top. He just draws these things over and over again, and that's one I got from him. And while I was there getting that, a guy that we both know came up with a stack of comics. And Neil Adams he said, I'll sign them all. He said, I'll give you a break on the price. Instead of $50 each, $40 each. This guy spent, and he had the money, he spent $1,200 getting Neil Adams to autograph all these books. Meanwhile, on the table, right there, was a black and white thing that was self-published. It said something like Savage Art of Neil Adams, and it had Conan on the cover. $20. I said, all right, here's $20 for this. And they said, thank you, go away. And then I'm walking away, I'm opening it up, look at it, there's Neil Adams' autograph. It cost me, the book was $20, the autograph was in there, and my friend who was standing next to me, who got all these books signed, was throwing down $1,200.
JT Kirk, good to see you there. Matthew Pounder, thank you for popping in. Good to see you. And I agree with you, Matthew Pounder. Great artist, terrible writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't go in, but since we're celebrating him and inducting him into tonight, I won't pick on him. Pick on his writing.
And another artist that he fit perfectly, like Swan and Anderson, who was Neil Adams' best inker back in the day, was Dick Giordano.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
And it was fantastic. He told a story about how a coloring book company owed him $1,200, and he said, I'm thinking like, it's only $1,200. He goes, yeah, but it's my $1,200. He said, if you put Dick Giordano in a suit and tie, he looks like a mafioso. Took him down there. The publisher, whatever, was always saying he's not in. His secretary says he's not in. And then he shows up with Giordano one day, and the receptionist lost her fucking mind, called him, said, hey, there's Neil Adams out here with a guy, and He said he goes in there. He thought the guy was going to bail out the window, but then he looked back and he saw Dick Giordano standing in the outer office, not saying a word. He wrote the check out immediately and gave it to him.
Neil Adams, folks, he actually worked on one of his early works. He did work in strips for a while, the Ben Casey strip of all things. I have these Neil Adams books still somewhere. And of course, really hit it big with Denny O'Neil, bringing Batman back to sort of the Dark Knight Detective Batman with that first of many stories that they did called The Joker's Five-Way Revenge and Batman 251, I believe, whatever it was. But then so many other things: Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Dead Man. Then tons and tons of covers. It's funny if you tally it up. He didn't do a lot of interior stuff early on. Not that he didn't do any. He also, like I said, he did on X-Men for Marvel. But I mean, it's not compared to some artists. Like he did tons and tons and tons of interior. But man, did he do a lot of not only sort of ad work and commercial work, but of course he did tons and tons of covers. And there's nothing quite, one of my favorite things. Obviously, I love a lot of his interior work, but man, his covers in the 70s for DC.
Yeah, he had an ad art company, Continuity Graphics.
Yeah,
which he came out with Continuity Comics after that, and a lot of really goofy content. But he just put stuff out. He found people who could draw like him. A couple of them were his sons. And I don't know how long it lasted, but boy, he put out a lot of stuff in a short period of time.
Good night, Purple. Thank you for being here. Love you, dear. Thank you. It's always great to see you. He did co-create Man Bat with Frank Robbins. That's true, Matthew Pounder. Like I said, he did a lot. I'm just saying compared to some, he came to a point where he was just doing a lot of ad stuff and covers. He even did some Star Trek comics for one of those records, was it Power Records or whatever? Yeah. And he did a lot of commercial type stuff, is what I'm saying. And then later, he when he left, not left, but I guess you could say he left DC. I don't know. After he did almost one of the last things he did for DC, or close to, was probably Superman versus Muhammad Ali, and he went to Pacific Comics, which was actually a comic shop that went into the comics business, PC Comics, and it was he did Miss Mystic
Annual,
and well, yeah, Steve actually got mentioned earlier how he did, of course, definitely worked to get Siegel and Schuster, the creators of Superman, a little bit of justice out of Warner Communications by helping to shame them into it. Work, to avoid some bad press of the Superman film. With the Superman film looming in 1978, so a few years before that, he did do that. You're right, Steve. We mentioned it earlier, but it's good to mention again.
He gets a pass for a lot of stupid shit because of that.
Yeah, it was great what he did. I mean, look, and again, Miss Mystic. I remember after the first issue came out, I ordered it pretty heavily, and everyone, just because it was Neil Adams, bought the thing. And the first issue didn't really do much. His art was pretty good on it, but you're right. Okay, well, let's see where this story goes. Well, you had to wait like 50 years for the damn next issue. I started calling it Miss Mystic Annual. Yeah. And people were always asking, when's Miss Mystic coming out? How should I know? And, later he started Continuity Associates. And yes, I knew someone was going to mention Skate Man.
We're forming a union, jerkhole, my foot in your face.
Yeah. And Crazy Man. Remember the ads for Crazy Man that ran for years? Yeah. Crazy Man by Neil Adams, sort of. There wasn't there like toy?
He tried some stupid gimmicks like I think it was Crazy Man that had the Tyvek cover. Tyvek is what they use for house wrap after they build the frame up. And they put the insulation or whatever in. They nail down Tyvek over the frame before they put the bricks up, and it's supposed to be bulletproof. I never tried to find out if it was, but I still have my Crazy Man comics, and they were the die cut covers that were like his profile, if you recall those.
Yeah. And to mention probably his most famous work, at least alongside Batman, of course. And yes, so don't worry, I would not let this go without mentioning Green Lantern, Green Arrow. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Hard Traveling Heroes with Denny O'Neil, who will be in this Hall of Fame eventually. Dennis O'Neil and he got together, and of course, this is a legendary run. And no matter what I think of kind of some of the writing on it now or whatever, the art is fantastic.
Preachy writing.
Yeah, the preachy, goofy, hippie writing, I can make fun of a little here and there. It's got a lot of dumb stuff in it, but I don't even give a crap. The art's so great, who cares?
Yeah.
I really don't. I got to admit, this is one that the art's so fantastic on it by Adams. I just don't. I mean, yeah, because some of the stories, wow.
Pretty sure it's always going to be in print. It's just one of those storylines. It's always going to be in trade paperback or hardback somewhere.
Yeah. So, yeah, Eric. Oh no, I couldn't let it go without. I just wanted to save that one for last because that's arguably, even if it's as famous as his Batman work, it almost is in a sense, really, or it's up there. I mean, yeah. So, and quite frankly, after 1980, I can't really think of much of his that he's done. It was a time you just didn't see him around at all.
Batman got him noticed, and it was fun, and it was a really good book. Green Lantern, Green Arrow is what made him famous. And he did a brief run on X-Men, and I told him, I wanted to tell him that I don't know who published this thing, but they did lousy color. And before I could say it, I said, hey, I bought this like $25 X-Men book of yours. And he goes, isn't the coloring awful? Because somebody went back and recolored everything on the inside and made it all darker. And the cover had some kind of a stupid, like overdone design with lettering and stuff. And then when they reprinted it, he must have told somebody because they reprinted the same book and completely cleared out all the garbage.
Yeah. Well, I've got that big Green Lantern, Green Arrow slipcase one from like the late 90s. And somebody kind of screwed around with the colors on that thing, too. The coloring's kind of weird on it, but, Skate. What was that other one? It was Skate Man and Crazy Man.
Dead Man.
No, well, no, I love Dead Man, but no, I'm talking about for continuity. To do with the toys.
Toy Boy, Megalith.
Toy Boy, that's right. Megalith. Okay, yeah. Jesus. Yeah, we should show some Dead Man. Now, he did so many covers. Well, I love his Superman covers.
Yeah.
But he actually did it. He didn't do a lot of interiors with Superman. I mean, it was just covers for the most part. I mean, other than Superman versus Muhammad Ali, of course.
Also did some Conan stuff, and one of the Conan things he did was that Power record, and they liked it so much they reprinted it as an early issue of Conan. They had him redraw some stuff in it, but Neil Adams and the Krusty Bunkers was doing that stuff.
Oh yeah, yep.
And explain to them what the Krusty Bunkers are.
That was a bunch of inkers, names you would know if you read comics back in the 70s that were all just working for him like a little studio, weren't they?
Yeah, and they slept in the studio, and the crust referred to them kind of jerking off in the blankets, and they had to go like wash the blankets and the cots they slept on because it got crusty. It got dried up and crusty. That's why they were called. That's why they were called the Krusty Bunkers.
Oh,
true
yeah.
Story.
Jesus Christ. Yep. Well, and of course, it would be remiss if we mentioned his X-Men work. He didn't do a lot of Marvel, but he was instrumental in doing most of the art for the Kree Skrull War, which is a classic. Yep. And again, by the way, we should also look at some of his Superman covers because, my God, they were some of the best covers ever.
They reprinted, or he redid that Superman cover where he's just flying, just stretched out on that Jack Kirby collector. You remember that one?
Yeah.
You had to open it up to see the full figure.
Yep. Yep.
And of course, Jack Kirby named his son Neil after Neil Adams.
I always loved the splash right here. And Tom Palmer seemed to ink him on everything he did at Marvel. Maybe not everything, but so yeah. No, we're not really doing. Oh, what happened? I don't know what happened, badass. We're not really like doing full coverage of anybody. We're just mentioning some of their stuff, but we stood a good while on Adams because there's so much. All these guys, you could spend so much time on them.
Yeah,
this is amazing. We have one more, however, that we should get to, and I don't know if this is going to get me in trouble or not. I bet this is going to get me in trouble. This last one, I don't care, but blame the voters, folks. Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
So, our final in the second wave this evening. Is another one that, is still with us. Well, that could be debatable.
He doesn't know he's still with us.
But he doesn't know he's still with us. Let's see if anyone's going to guess I have the final envelope.
Kept in a mayonnaise jar on Funkin' Wagnall's porch.
Who is going to be the next one, folks? Well, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to get it out of here. Yeah. No?
Spit it out, man.
Well, let's see if anyone would guess it. No. All fine. You're all naming some fine ones here, but you're not definitely. The ones they're naming, Jack's Mama. Hello there. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Stop cursing now. Good to see you. I didn't curse. You did.
The heck you say.
All right, everyone. Here it goes. Just going to have to give me all the static they want to give me because I'm doing it. Our final in the second wave of Clobberin Times Mark C. Comics Creators Hall of Fame is the great Alan Moore. The first writer, since Bill Finger in the last wave, because we got all these guys were artists of various types who did
he was too.
Well.
Maxwell the Magic Cat?
Well, he did a little art, but he's not an artist.
Yeah.
Or as we like to call him, Alan Moore.
I'm not Alan.
My name, folks, is Alan Moore. Or comic books are for poopy heads now. I used to write them all the time, but now, if you read comics, you're
puerile.
We almost cussed you out for now. Alan Moore says you should not read comic books.
Yeah, also known as the original writer.
Oh yeah. But I'm sorry to tell you, folks, the guy, whatever else he did, the man has written some brilliance, in my opinion, and I love so much of his work.
So does Hollywood.
Frank Springer. He's a nut, but I love this nut.
Think about how much money Hollywood has made off of him and how much he could have made off of Hollywood.
Phantom Outsider. Every time DC releases a new Watchmen, Disney loses another piece of his mind. Well, they're all gone now, buddy.
Yeah. But Watchmen that's just me. I would have said that Swamp Thing. Actually, Swamp Thing got him noticed. Watchmen was the. That was it. That was the. Pinnacle.
That was the stardom right there. But yeah, and that's my favorite of his work. But I love so much of it. Carlos and I did a good bunch of hours on all of my favorite of his work, spanning his early '80s up until 2000.
Yeah.
There's so much of it, so much great stuff. Let's see.
V for Vendetta.
I was just gonna say D. Bud Martin. Yeah, that'll happen one day. He's you're right. What you're saying there about Byrne. V for Vendetta, of course, which he started at Warrior Magazine and many years later kind of finished at DC. Marvel Man / Miracle Man. Of course, his Swamp Thing, like you said, got him noticed. He did a lot of more obscure stuff for 2000 AD that was a lot of people don't know about that was really fantastic. DR and Quench, The Ballad of Halo Jones.
Yeah.
He also did some of the greatest Superman stories ever. He did DC Comics Presents 83 with the Swamp Thing, of course. Superman Annual number 11 for the man who has everything. He did Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, the swan song, if you pardon the, well, if you call it a pun, whatever you want to call it, of the gold and silver bronze age Superman.
Was that Kurt Schaffenberger's last Superman story too?
Probably. Didn't he ink the last issue? He inked
Yeah.
The second part. First part was inked by George Perez.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he that
was a great story. That would have been a way you could end Superman right here. Don't ever do another Superman comic ever. Don't give it to John Byrne. Don't let Brian Michael Bendis come along one day and fuck it up forever. End it right there where Alan Moore ended it, and that's forever.
D. Bud Martin, yeah, I avoided saying Kurt Swan's song, so I'm glad you said it. He did also, because again, for those who don't know, I'm not fond of John Byrne's reboot of Superman of the 80s, a long-standing argument I've had with our great pal, the great Mark C. But since that did take away my beloved Silver and Bronze Age Superman that I love so much, about 10 years later, he gave him to us by taking a cruddy, worthless Rob Liefeld character called Supreme and basically turning him into that Superman. And for a number of years, Supreme was basically my Superman with just under an assumed name by Alan Moore and other artists, including Rick Veitch and Chris Sprouse, people like that. His Supreme I really loved. It was him kind of doing what he would have done with Superman if he'd really gotten a hold of him before.
Didn't Swan do a cover or like an inside pinup of Supreme in one of those books?
I can't remember if he did, but I hope so. I have them all, but I can't really remember, to be honest. And again, I love Watchmen, of course. It was a really, I'm used to be the ultimate Watchmen fanatic. It led to some bad things, just as Miller's Dark Knight Returns did. The deconstruction of superheroes wasn't, it turns out, even as good as those comics themselves individually wasn't really good for the industry, and it caused ramifications. Miller didn't care, but Moore actually did before he went completely nuts, and he gave us a great apology comic. And again, obviously, he gave us the Killing Joke, which, again, another thing that he kind of regretted later. I like the Killing Joke fine. I'm just saying Moore regretted it later. I can't find a good picture of it. Anyway, he kind of thought maybe that he'd gone too far with some of the stuff with superheroes. So he did a great comic for Image in the early 90s called 1963. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but I really loved it. Now, he didn't finish it, of course. There were 6 issues. There was to be an annual that would finish it. And, well,
there was a plethora of fevered egos who stopped it from being finished.
Yeah. But, man, I loved 1963. And this, in a sense, you could probably say Moore invented the retro comic in terms of the retro superhero comic. Because, later there were a lot of imitators. Big Bang, which was kind of an okay comic. And some others. But this, with 1963, which was just so much fun. And not only was the comic fun, because it would throw, as you can see, what it was kind of knocked off from. Even the letters pages, which was made up letters, and the ads were all made up. It had a bunch of made up phony ads that were spoofing the comic book ads at the time, which were hilarious. What this is just, again, there will never be a trade paperback, I'm sad to say, or any hardcover ever, because of the rights issues, and we'll never get a conclusion to the story. The last issue, the Monarch Syndicate, ended with a cliffhanger that will never be finished. But he gave us this. He gave us, and again, like I said, he gave us Supreme. Supreme.
He gave me something special too.
What?
Snop.
He gave us Snop. You can tell them what Snop is if you want.
Okay, Snup is when everybody was congregating around Superman around the Fortress of Solitude, basically to protect Superman from what was coming. Crypto, well, Crypto, Jimmy, and Lana were the ones who bought it. But the one who bought it better than anybody was Crypto. When the Kryptonite Kid busted into the Fortress of Solitude to kill Superman, he met Crypto, who went, "Fuck you, you are not getting my master," and he bit him right in the throat, and there's that sound effect of Crypto biting into Kryptonite Kid's throat. Snop. SNOPH exclamation point, Alan Moore.
Snop. Snop, indeed. But Supreme was his way of bringing him back. He also did some pretty good ABC comics, which were pretty good. Tom Strong, which, by the way, our good buddy Mark C was not a big Moore fan like I was. We didn't agree on that, but he was a fan of Moore's work when it comes to Tom Strong. He liked Tom Strong. We talked about that a little bit, and which again
very imaginative book. It had it was like the DC 50s or 60s science fiction. It also had elements of Doc Savage.
Doc Savage.
Doc Savage. Any kind of superhero that didn't have powers, that was Tom Strong.
Yeah, and it was a fun comic. He I kind of like some of the other stuff he did. This was a really fun comic though, Tom Strong. Top 10 was excellent. Janet from Another Planet. Do you remember? Oh, you remember those ads? Well, Moore parodied those. Yes. I don't know if you saw 1963. Yes, but that's the stuff. Exactly. He did. Yeah. Agreed, Phantom Outsider, about what I hate what Byrne did to my wonderful Legion and Superboy and all that stuff. And so, Alan Moore has his faults, but I think he wrote some of the most brilliant, incredible comics. And again, he's the only one on this list, other than doing a little bit of cartooning with Maxwell the Magic Cat before he wrote comics. He didn't do his own stuff. And I should mention Miracle Man. Marvel Man / Miracle Man was brilliant. He took a character, we all know the story of how Captain Marvel, as in the one who says Shazam, was off racks for 20 years after the National and Fawcett, war. So over in Great Britain, Shazam, Marvel Family Comics were big sellers back in the 50s. So, when they stopped showing up on shelves over there, they just did a knockoff character called Marvel Man. And he was a blatant, and I mean blatant, ripoff of Captain Marvel.
It was an homage.
And so in the early 80s, Warrior Magazine, produced by the Quality Magazine Group, put Marvel Man in there. They did put in that mag, and they let Alan Moore do whatever the hell he wanted with it. But that mag went kaput, and the story was incomplete. But then Alan Moore rose to superstardom in comics and was able later to finish it over at Eclipse Comics. Except they obviously in the States they had to change the name to Miracle Man
because they used the word Marvel in the name Marvel Man, and nobody even thought about it when they came up with Miracle Man. Why don't we look and see if anybody has a claim to this name? Well, as it turns out, Marvel had a claim to the name Miracle Man. He was like an evil wizard villain.
Fantastic Four number 3.
Right.
Yeah, but so they had to change it to Miracle Man. This issue here, number 15, I can't get a good big picture of it, but was still to this day the single most disturbing comic book I've ever read, as far as superhero comics are concerned.
Yep.
Man.
People would say that I'd gone soft.
Yeah. It's a rough one. And I guess, again, he also wrote a lot of backup stuff at DC before he did, before some of, when he was doing Swamp Thing, but not, and before some of his other stuff that he really hit it big, some of the stuff that built up his fame. And he did some stuff for some backups for Tales of Green Lantern Corps, stories like, Tigers, which he, just a great story that was used in Mind a lot later by a lot of Green Lantern artists. Which told the story of why Abin Sur had to use a spaceship in the first place. Of course, as Steve Mitchum mentioned, F. Sharp Bell. This brilliant story illustrated by Bill Willingham. I won't even, other than mentioning how great it is, you should seek it out. There's a book out there called The DC Comics Stories of Alan Moore, with all of his short stories in there. That is just has all the shorter stories. There's so many great stories in there. The DC Universe stories of Alan Moore, and it's just some great stuff. There's a picture of the cover. There are a couple of different covers actually. I think I have the different cover. Yeah, I have a different cover than I have the other cover, but still, I have that cover. Yeah, I think. But yeah. So anyway, there you go, folks. Thank you, Pat S. And that will wrap it up for our second wave of Clobberin Times Mark C. Comics Creator Hall of Fame. 10 more. Well, let me run down again our new inductees. And I want to thank everyone who showed up tonight. We got again. Remember, everyone. The where's the other one? The first group. Now we're going to name them all off again. The first group: Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Alex Raymond, Gil Kane, Jerry Siegel, Joe Schuster, Bill Finger, Will Eisner, Julius Schwartz, and Joe Hubert. And now, as it started tonight, the second wave. Gardner Fox, Joe Simon, Harvey Kurtzman, John Romita, no bloody senior, just Romita, D. Romita, Kurt Swan, Bill Everett, Wallace Wood, Bern Hogarth, Neil Adams, and Alan Moa. So we got another wave in a couple of months. We'll put a third wave in there. You there?
And like the ocean, the waves are unending. Until we get to Rob Liefeld. Then, drain the swamp.
Of course. But as Steve Mitchell says, that F. Sharp Bell story from that great Tales of Green Lantern Corps, and you can get it in that trade, of course. It is just magnificent. I love it. It's a great story. Okay, let's say some goodbyes. Show notes Wednesday night. I probably will be doing it at the same time, 8 p.m. Probably some open geek talk there as usual. Thursday, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, the Global Geek Gang shall gather again with all kinds of fun and goofy, silly geekness. And then next Saturday night, the magnificent Raquel Briggs and I will continue on our ongoing mission to review all of Star Trek. Continuing our review of Star Trek, the animated series. And that's 9 p.m. Central. And next Monday night, I'll be back here for Monday Night Mark C. Comics Talk. I don't know what the topic will be, but it will be comics related. I can tell you that. And I want to thank everyone for being here with us tonight. Of course, my guest host, the great Minimusness Prime, who says he's not great, but everyone knows you are great. I'm great.
I'm pretty good.
Oh, Dark Shadow Logan popped in. Good to see you, Dark Shadow Logan. Thank you so much for that, by the way. The great Phantom Outsider. Thank you, sir. Steve Mitchum, good to see you, bro. Appreciate you as always. Thank you for being here. JT Kirk, Thank you for being here. Big shout out to the wonderful Purple Valkyrie. I think she probably had to leave, but I love you, Purple. Thank you for popping in. Let's see here. Who else was here? The great Chris Persia and the great Eric K, both the masters of wrenches. Thank you both. Chris Persia, Eric K. Appreciate you, my brothers. The great Pat S. Hey. Thank you, bud. Matthew Pounder, thank you for being here. Jobber was here earlier. Jobber, great to see you, man. Janet from Another Planet, thank you for popping in, my dear. Let's see here. We had another lady popped in earlier. D-Bud Martin's here, though, of course, too. D-Bud Martin, great to see you. D. Oberg, thanks, bro. Always great to see you. I forgot who the other lady was that popped in earlier. Besides Purple and besides Janet, there was a.
Did you mention Matthew Pounder?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did. Matthew Pounder.
We'll mention him twice then.
I did, Matthew. Thank you for being here.
Outsider.
Yep. Lucy here. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. We knew we would get him. I mean, because he was here first. He always pops in early. And I see you when you're there, Phantom Outside. I'm just always doing something and I can't get to the thing. Jackson Momo, thank you for being here, my dear. It's so great to see you. Thank you. My chat only goes back so far, everyone. So, Mike Beats, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. J-Man was here earlier. I noticed that. J-Man, thank you. My great buddy Nick Weiser was here. And he is now over there at Comics Divisions. If you know any of you, I don't have a link on me, but if any of you know Comics Divisions channel, he's on there with the great Comics Division, who I'm a big fan of as well.
He probably just showed up to eat pizza at us and then leave.
Oh, there you go, Mike. Jennifer Beat might be second. I'm sorry, Jennifer Cisco was here, and I'm always so happy to see you when you pop in. So, Jennifer, you beautiful lady. I'm always honored to have you here. We thank you for popping in. Now, see, we always take note of it because there's so few ladies that hang out with us over here, and we love it. So, thanks. Appreciate that. Yes, she is also another great wrench. The great Jennifer Cisco wrenches for Gary over there at Third Erotica, does a fabulous job over there. Love you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. You are wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight with us. Had a marvelous time, and even a DCist time. And an ECist time, and all kind of other time. Not a Continuity Associates time, though. All hail, of course, everyone, the great Mark C. And everyone, have a fantastic rest of the night. Let me play us out. But again, always a tribute to the great Stone Loki for this intro outro. Good night, everyone. Captain Cockney Spock! Stop me, Spock! Big shout out. Just forgot, Captain Cockney Spock was also here. JT Kirk was also here. Dark Shadow Logan popped in. And Elaga Bullis was here. If I forgot anyone else, sorry, everyone. I don't write it down except on Saturday nights when I'm trying to keep track. So didn't mean to leave anyone out. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much and have a great night.